Okay, so can you hear me? I hope you can hear me. Okay, hi everybody. My name is Sarah, and I'm making this video mainly because I am on my journey, hopefully, towards vet school, and I've turned to YouTube for a lot of pointers, and I'm looking for other experiences people have had getting into school, how they've got there, and I just have not found many vet school vlogs, tip videos. Um, it's mainly med school, how to get into med school, that kind of thing. So there are a couple different YouTubers that I really enjoyed their vlogs of vet school. There are two in particular that I watch quite often. And it really helps just to see somebody who's been on that journey. They've overcame obstacles. They kind of tell their own personal view on what to do to get in, and I'm hoping, hopefully, maybe, if other people hear my experience, they can learn from it and just have some encouragement to go forward and somebody else to relate to and that sort of thing. So, this is my first video ever. I'm hoping it's gonna be like the preface to, oh, she got into school and here's all of her vlogs of school, but this is where she started. So right now it is December 1st, 2019, and it's been a long road already, I'm just gonna say, because I I did my undergraduate at Michigan Technological University. I am from Michigan. I'm in Michigan right now. It's snowing. It's kind of pretty, I guess. But anyway, I right after high school, I graduated high school in 2013, and I went to Michigan Tech for my undergraduate. I have known since I was about 4 years old that I wanted to be a veterinarian. So it wasn't even a question like what major to be in, what classes to take. Um, I'll get more on that subject later. But I started undergrad in 2013. I did graduate in 4 years. So in 2017, I was graduated with my biological sciences bachelor degree, pre-professional. They call it like the pre-med, the pre-vet, the pre-dental. We all started out pretty much doing the same classes. So undergrad, I started out kind of rocky, but I did end up excelling. I enjoy school, especially when it's like the last couple years of school was more of things I was interested in, so not so much the math and the physics and that, so it was a lot easier, and not easier, but just better to stay motivated with, I guess. So I was feeling really good. I worked in student affairs while I was there, helping other students study. I was academic success coaching. I was working at a dog kennel also while I was there, and my boss at the dog kennel, she had her wildlife rehabilitator's license, and she rehabilitated wildlife, so I got some experience with that, and that's really when I realized I want to go into wildlife medicine, so that was cool. And I was in all the clubs, all the honor societies, and I did everything I thought to a T what vet school wanted. It was always my dream to go to Michigan State's vet school since I'm from Michigan, so every class I took and every club I joined was kind of geared toward what state was looking for. So I didn't do any undergraduate research or anything in any of the labs. I mainly focused on the pre-health clubs, and I was a UTA for a lab, and just a bunch of other stuff. But I just want to say that I wish I would have done some research in a research lab or ventured out in any sort of way besides what I thought was the right way. Um, the student affairs, that was not biology related, and so that really um, does help round me. But I just want to say, first tip of advice, don't just stick to what you think vet school, oh, I have to get all the animal experience and that's it, or all the biology experience and that's it. Like, no, if there's a cool lab that you want to do some research in, like, do it. Just do anything that kind of sets you apart, and it really does just help balance your whole application when you do those things outside the box. So I kind of regretted not taking some more chances while I was in my undergraduate career. But so I graduated with my bachelor's, and then a lot of my friends, they had, like, I was always comparing my life to, their timelines, but a lot of my friends, they've already been accepted to, like, med school before they were even graduated in undergrad. Like, they applied their second or third year of undergrad, where I kind of knew I needed more experience, so I didn't apply right away. I applied after I graduated, which, if you know how the VEMCAS works for vet school, it takes an entire year to go throughout the whole process. So I knew I wouldn't be starting until, like, I would have had been graduated for a year before I even started vet school. So, and I knew that because I wanted to get that experience, but I kind of regret that too. I wish I had, I wish that I had applied sooner, just because my advisor never told me that you rarely do get in on your first application round. It's sort of rare to get in your first try. A lot of people that do get in, it is their second or third try, or even more maybe. So I wish I would have applied first earlier, because I am now on my second round of applying. So I was crushed when I did not get in. I thought I had all my ducks in a row. I applied for to start in 2019. Like, I applied, no, to start in 2018. I applied in 2017 to start in 2018, and I did not get in. I got to the final round of interviews, and they told me a week later, after I interviewed, that you were placed on the alternate list and you have a significant spot. I didn't know what that meant, but I was like, cool, there's still hope. And then by the time August 2018 came around, they were like, oh, it's full and stuff. So I was crushed, but looking back at it now, I was not ready. I was absolutely 100% not ready, and I thought I was, but I was not. So they give you like a score, at least Michigan State does. They give you a score of how you did, and everyone has the good grades, the good experience. So when you get to the MMI, which is their format for interviewing, everybody's pretty much on the same playing field. You all have the experience, you have the references, you have the grades. They don't look at your GRE score, thankfully, for me, because I was kind of average, but I took it anyway because other schools might have wanted it. And I did apply to 4 schools the first round. Anyway, so at the MMI, it's kind of after that, they give you your report card, like how you did. So my MMI score was a 8.5, and they said that candidates with an 8.5 and higher were competitive. So I was barely on the tail end of being competitive, and I think my interview really did get me because I wasn't ready. I didn't answer the questions as well as I could have because I hadn't had that experience yet to formulate those good responses and statements and really think strategically through the prompts. So can't really give you any more information on the MMI, not allowed. But so I also thought maybe a component that hurt me now looking back at it was I really only put my animal experiences on there. After I graduated with my undergrad, I got a job at a vet clinic in my hometown as a general assistant. So that's helping in surgery, cleaning cages, pretty much everything, that's not like administrative stuff. So it's a very small clinic. So they kind of, all of the assistants, we do everything. And I had a year's worth of that, like one-on-one. There's only one vet, so we got to know each other pretty well. And I was like, this is awesome experience. And so I put that on there, and I put the wildlife stuff on there for my undergrad. And there were things I could have put on there or should have that I didn't, and I know that now. So I also know that I said in my application I wanted to go into wildlife, but I only had the small amount of wildlife experience. So after being crushed for a little bit and in denial, saying, oh, I'll just go to grad school or I'll do something else, I really got like a fire under me, like, no, what am I doing? Like, I want to do I want to go to vet school. I moved out to South Dakota with my husband for a little while, and I worked at a community-based mental health service, where I worked in people's apartments who they had mental disabilities. It might be Down syndrome, fetal alcohol syndrome, and they just needed an aide there. And once I started working there, it was rewarding, but I knew that was not what I wanted to do forever. So I got on the internet and I started looking up wildlife internships, because ultimately that's what I want to do, is wildlife medicine, conservation medicine. I didn't know exactly what, but I knew it was in that field. So I found an internship in Florida, which my mother lives in Florida, so that was kind of also a reason why I looked at Florida. And there's an internship in the town of Naples with the Conservancy of Southwest Florida at their Wildlife Rehabilitation Hospital. It sounded too good to be true, so I applied, got all my references again to write me a recommendation for this internship, because I told them, hey, thanks for the recommendation for vet school, but I didn't get in. Can you recommend me for this now? So that was just awkward to have to like ask everyone again, but they were super cool about it. And I remember it was like the summer, July or August, when I applied, and in October I found out that I got it, and I was over the moon. As much as I, loved being with my husband, he was in South Dakota for school, and there's just nothing there for me, no animal jobs where he was specifically for his school. So he's like, you know what, you need to go, you need to do this. So it was a 6-month internship. I interned from November 2018 to May 2019, and let me tell you, this was the most physical, mental, just stressful environment I've ever been in, but the most rewarding. We worked with an array of native Florida wildlife. It was amazing. The staff, the volunteers, the director of the hospital, the veterinarian there. There was one staff veterinarian, and they cared for almost 4,000 animals a year, like over 3,500 animals. So it's really amazing what they do, and it was so rough my first month or two, because you're in training for like 6 weeks, and finally I got my bearings and got my feet under me, and I did things I never thought I would do. I was tubing formula into little baby possum stomachs. I was feeding the permanent bald eagle resident. I was helping bottle feed orphans. I was helping rehab and do physical therapy on mammals and birds, a lot of shorebirds. So it was honestly amazing, and I can't thank Michigan State enough for not accepting me the first time, because then I would have never had that experience. And the other interns I met, they were just amazing. So if you have been rejected once from vet school and it's what you really want to do, find something that shows like, hey, I am serious about this, because they want to know that you're serious. And so during the time I was in Florida at this internship, the VEMCAS opened back up. It opened in May, right at the tail end of my internship. So I got on there, and it already had all my previous stuff, my transcripts and all that. So I had to re-answer the essay questions, some of the personal information, and then I got a reference from the veterinarian at the wildlife hospital, and she is by far the most amazing woman I've ever came across in my entire life. Like, she is holistic with her approaches as to use the least amount of chemicals in that, and just very, she actually cares so much about the animals and the people. Like, she is so, I can't even explain. Just being able to be with her for 6 months and like mentoring her and working with her and having her, she actually took the time to explain things to me. Like, for example, I set up a box turtle cage once and she wasn't impressed with it, and she's like, well, what do they do, box turtles? And I'm like, well, they like to hide in things, which most wildlife does. And so, and I didn't have anything for him to hide in. I didn't have a box. I didn't have a ramp. I didn't have the right greenery. Like, so she really made you think, like, why are we doing this, and what kind of animal is this, and what's the specific requirements for them to thrive and heal and be able to be released. So there's just a whole new way of thinking clinically and like husbandry wise for animals and wildlife that I had never thought before. And it really, it prompted me to ask the right questions, and I'm just so forever grateful. So during my time at the internship as well, my old work from back home, the vet clinic, they said, hey Sarah, we're expanding. We have a new position opening up for a veterinary technician, like a lead tech, like a facilitator type position who runs all the diagnostics, lab work, radiographs, and urinalysis and that kind of thing, and takes all like the notes and draws all like the blood. And there was already one individual like that, but they had an opening for one more. And they asked me if I would like it. And of course I was like, oh yes, like that would be amazing. But just so you know, I am still applying to vet school, and I would hopefully start in 2020. And they're like, that is just fine. Like, we will take you for as long as we can. So I've been very, very fortunate, actually, the more I think about it. All these little things happen just perfectly, and I could have never imagined it. So just know that you never know what's going to happen or when things can change. So just don't give up and keep trying, because it will come full circle. So now that's kind of a little prelude of what I've been through. I submitted my second application to vet school. I had it all submitted by July 29th or something, the end of July. They give you from May to September to get it in. So I got it in July, and I got an automatic email, thank you for applying to our vet school. If we need any more information, we'll contact you. Otherwise, you won't hear from us until November. So I was like, oh my God, that's like so long from July, like I'm dying here. But at least I have a job that I love. And meanwhile, my husband's still in South Dakota for school, and I'm here in Michigan, so it's a little, that's probably the hardest part, but we both know what we're doing and why, and soon he'll be graduated, so not too concerned about that. We just want to live out our dreams, and be supportive of each other. So in November, I think it was like the 6th or the 7th, might have been later, I had an email that said, we invite you to interview at one of our multi-mini interview sessions. You can either pick from, X amount of dates. There was like 3 dates I could have chosen, and I chose the first one, which was December 13th. And so I got the email at like 5:09 or something at night, and I was really weirded out, because I'm like, I didn't think I'd be getting it that late, because I'm like, why are they still in the office emailing? But so I quick replied back with my RSVP of the 13th, and then they didn't tell me until like 4 days later that, okay, yep, you're good for the 13th. So I'm a very impatient person. You will come to know that of me, and it's something that I'm working on. But so I have an interview December 13th. It's my second interview. Funny little detail about my first interview. I was the only one out of the entire, I don't know, 50 people that were interviewing that day that was not wearing a suit. An actual suit jacket with pants, suit pants. I was wearing like suit pants, but I was wearing a button-up dress shirt with like a cardigan over it. And I like kind of blended in, but not really, because I wasn't wearing a suit. So I always told myself that's why, but I'm sure it's not why. So yesterday I went suit shopping, and my awesome friend, who is going to Michigan State's vet school right now, she actually got in the year I didn't. She's on her second year. Her parents are so excited that I'm reapplying that they took me shopping for my suit, so I'm forever grateful to them. I've had so much help. I can't even come to thank everybody who's ever helped me. Bless you. And so yeah, this is where we start for class of 2024, Michigan State College of Veterinary Medicine. This is the beginning. And I just want you to let me know any questions you may have. I don't want to ramble about my entire life for too long. Stay tuned for my big interview day to see if I get in. And if I do get in, then I will be worthy to give you guys advice on how to get in. But until then, I just wanted to introduce myself. Come from a very small town in Michigan. It's about 1,000 people, I think, the population. So it's been crazy, this life that I've lived. But anyway, I'm going to show you guys how beautiful it looks outside right now. Let me just flip this around. We're dealing with right now.